Hi, I'm Christina.
And I'm Matt.
And this is New Wayz Podcast. Today, I'm super excited for today.
I am as well.
It's going to be very interesting.
Yes, it will.
Yes. So for you guys, a little information is we are ending our season 1. It's officially been about a year since we started shooting, and it's been a wild ride.
It has. Lots of ups, lots of downs, but we've grown so much.
Oh, so much. And it's
been a process.
And a blast.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm super excited to say we will be back in the fall after taking a little break and having the summer off. On that note, also, I'm extra excited because we have one of our first guests in the studio interviewing us today. So it's just a crazy day. We have author and actor Sid Mallya, one of my dear friends, interviewing us about our experience. Sid, say hi.
Yeah, hi everyone. Hi. I didn't want to interrupt. You were on such a roll that was.
Yeah. Thank you for being here with us.
No, look, I'm really excited. Thank you guys for having me back, and I'm excited to be able to do this with you because, firstly, I want to say congratulations on for doing it, for completing a full season of the podcast. I know that it's not been without its challenges at times, but you guys have stuck at it. And I'm sure we're going to have a great chat about all the sorts of things that you've learned and kind of the things that you've been able to discover along the way. So yeah, excited for this.
Okay. I'm a little nervous because I'm so used to us asking questions, but guess we'll hand the reins over to you, Sid.
Yeah, all right.
Let's do it.
Thank you. No, so I mean, I guess first off the bat, I don't know if you guys have ever sort of discussed this in the episodes that you've done, but why don't you kind of give your listeners just kind of a little background into how this all sort of started?
So let's see. In April of last year. It was April of last year. We were with my boyfriend, Sam, the three of us. We were at his house. And I remember we were just talking back and forth about topics in mental health, topics about holistic wellness. And I remember Sam literally just saying to us, he goes, why don't you guys consider starting a podcast on some of these topics? Mm-hmm. I feel like these are things that so many people would really appreciate the opportunity to listen to and hear. And so that's kind of where the idea started.
Yeah.
And then where it really for me took off was when I sat down with you one-on-one. It was only supposed to be like an hour and a half, 2 hours conversation at your house, ended up being like close to 5.
Yeah.
And I'm just spending like half the day at her home and literally just coming up with close to maybe over 100 ideas. And I still have that ideas list in a Google
Do you
Docs.
really?
I do. Yep.
Oh, I love that.
Yep. So that was really, I was like going back through old stuff, and then I found that Google Doc. I was like, oh my gosh, like to see the growth and on what's funny enough, seeing also those topics that a lot of them we ended up discussing on the show, or even having guests who came on to talk about those topics, which was really neat. So that to me was such a beautiful experience to start.
Yeah, that was so cool. Specifically, you guys, when we actually came up with this idea, we were in a hot tub, weren't we?
Yeah.
We were in a hot
you
tub.
were?
Yeah.
Okay.
At Sam's house. But no, yeah, it's been a ride. I don't know why. What really sticks with me too was, don't you love this place? Isn't it called the Breakfast Club in Hollywood? That place we went to go eat to come up with our name.
Yeah.
Right?
The Breakfast Club?
Yeah, that breakfast restaurant.
Right on
Are you the one who
Melrose.
told me about that actually?
Breakfast Club or
Is
Melrose?
it?
Or is it
messing
Breakfast
it up?
Republic?
Was it Breakfast Republic?
I know Breakfast Republic. I think
Is that
Breakfast
it?
Club is a film.
Is it Is it?
It is a film.
It is a film.
It's the place with the 2 eggs in the front. Is that
Breakfast Republic.
Okay,
Yeah. And the
sorry,
little
guys.
bacon streak is like the smiley face. Yeah.
Breakfast Republic. It made me think of you because I know you used to talk about that place all the time.
Yeah. No, we used to go quite often.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, oh, and Sid's here with us today. How amazing.
Yeah.
But that's where we came up with our name too. We were just eating breakfast one day with those massive meals. And I don't know why that just sticks in like a core memory.
Yeah.
So That's pretty much it. Is like we would have these fascinating conversations, and one day we're like, I just wish more people talked about it.
For sure, yeah. I think that's kind of like, in the world that we're in today, where everyone quite rightly is trying to shine a light on mental health and well-being and that kind of stuff. Sometimes, you don't need to come up with some 10-step guide to happiness, right? All you have to do is just talk about it. Mm-hmm. And it's really that simple, right? Just having a conversation about something. You don't know who's listening. And sometimes people want to just know that they're not alone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's great that you guys did this. And I think what's, it is impressive. You probably won't see it this way because you did it, but we're in a town where 100% of people have an idea. Only 1% of those people actually go and turn that idea into a reality and make something of it. So the fact that you even did it, you could say this was a success.
Yeah, truly. No, thank you so much for that.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm part of the 1%.
Yeah.
No, and I'm always just like watching the growth of it, and even like for the seasons to come and like the future, I'm super excited to see how it grows. And it's been such, you say not a lot of people do it, and I understand, but also just like the love and support I've experienced from, like, for instance, you and my friends around me has been so meaningful. And that's just something that reminds me all the time why we started this thing.
For sure. I also, one of my biggest things too is, I've always wanted to, ever since, I started working in mental health when I was 22, I've always wanted to be able to give someone a platform to be able to share their story. Because, and granted, everyone has their own thing, but it was something that was really special about having that ability now. Mm-hmm. To have people come on and like yourself and to share your story the way you did, and have other people come on and, share how they, dealt with their challenges, dealt with their anxieties, dealt with, their holistic wellness and finding new pathways, new avenues. I've discovered so much about so many people just through the art of conversation. And that's been a beautiful experience too.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes that's just the best sort of, not just therapy, but the best way to get a message out is just to talk. Mm-hmm. It really is that simple, right? We as human beings like to complicate everything, but sometimes it's just that human connection and just giving someone the opportunity to talk, and more importantly, having someone that's willing to listen gives people that permission that they can share.
Yeah.
But I'm going to come on to that sort of like what you've learned throughout this, because I think that there's obviously been a lot that you guys will have picked up and figured out. But first thing I want to ask is, whenever you really have an idea, right, whether it's a podcast or it's a book or it's a film, we always kind of go in with the initial idea of what we think it is. But it never ends up being exactly what that initial idea was. And it just shows the importance of being flexible and being willing to adapt and change as things naturally progress. So from that initial idea that you had to where we are today, how do you see the year has evolved?
Ooh.
The year has evolved. Well, I think honestly, it's kind of just what you said. The biggest lesson that I've learned throughout this was to be flexible. And you're right, nothing ever, like, you can have a vision, but I feel like having a vision and sticking to only that vision and limiting yourself, that's what it does, is it limits you because you're not open to new experiences. I feel like what's been so cool is me and Matt will even talk. We're like, how do we feel about this person coming on? They have an interesting story. We don't know if it's really the image we're going for, but allowing us to experience like all realms of different types of people and hearing unique individual stories, that's probably been the most like heartwarming experience. So just being open to change is probably one of the most important things I feel like I've learned.
Mm-hmm. I would say something that I'm very much the analytical person. I look at the numbers, I look at, making sure everything's done. Something we had to consistently be flexible on was always when things wouldn't go right.
Right. Yeah.
That was the biggest thing for me. Cause like, I'll never forget when the first time it happened. And funny enough, it was actually about you.
Oh, was it?
It was.
Wow. Okay.
The very first time something didn't go right in our podcast was actually with your episode.
Is it a technical thing?
It was a technical thing. And it was, I happened to be in Michigan that week and your stuff was already uploaded. Everything was like good to go and done.
Yeah.
And I realized that I had uploaded the wrong one. And like, it was like, I think it was the unedited version or something. Cause I was still trying to figure out how to like organize the files and I just clicked the wrong file. And so here I thought everything was completed, done, uploaded, ready to go. And I had it done for a full week thinking I was like on top of it. And then realized very soon within 4 hours of your upload that it wasn't correct. And that was like the first time I was like, oh no, I messed up, and now that if it happens, you're like, okay, well, we'll just upload 4 hours later. It's not, or 5 hours later, not a big deal, but it's at the time that was a huge thing. I realized, okay, I need to give myself some grace on because not everything can be perfect. Another really interesting thing that really surprised me. And then again, this is kind of coming from my own past of like not trying to be the biggest person in the room. I was always told that, but having people actually reach out to us and asking them, like people asking us to be on our podcast was incredible. And we ended up actually having one of the coolest guests we ever had. She came all the way from Alaska.
I know.
Oh, wow.
She flew from Alaska to come visit us. And, I also had another,
such a sweet woman. Yeah. So sweet.
And she's designing this incredible product, to really help with, focus and stimulation. It's amazing. It's awesome. So I think that was just really, really cool to have, sort of that as a foundation too.
Definitely. I couldn't agree more with everything you just said. And one other thing popped in my mind when you were talking, because I remember that moment too, when the episode wasn't going as planned. And I will say, I just want to thank you, Matt, for being so patient with me as well. That's one thing I've definitely learned throughout this podcast is how to, because I do a lot of things on my own. I'm just programmed that way. How to work with other people, relax, and honestly just be grateful for having somebody by my side through this. So thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Aw, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
Well, okay, on that, because you guys were friends, right? Before the podcast started.
Yeah.
And you're still, I assume, friends now, a year later.
Most days.
Most days.
What would you say you learn about the other person? Because obviously you will have seen a different side of each other during this process, right? And probably learned things about the other person, things that you may not have known about them before, or been aware of that came out through the making of the podcast. So what do you think you learned about each other?
Ooh.
Jeez.
Do you want to go first?
Never do this again. No, I would say to see like, I would say the thing is like I know you talked about this a little bit at the beginning, and that was like giving people grace. And like you've definitely have like chilled out so much.
Oh, for
more,
sure.
And like become a lot more flexible. And through that, like that's been awesome. Because I'm really like, I see your growth a lot in that way.
Yeah.
And then also just being insanely helpful, especially like for the past month and a half. We're about to release 2 episodes that you're doing yourself. Because I literally just like physically needed to take a break. Because I'm on top of this, I also work
for sure.
as, as a therapist and behaviorist. So it's sometimes hard to always make every single episode work. And so for you to be like, I got this, give yourself literally physical time to just simply decompress and like reset, and then come back and do a final episode with us, like that meant the world to me. So having your support in that way when I needed it most was huge.
Oh, well, on that note, thank you very much.
That is it.
Everyone, we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Oh, Matt. No. And once again, thank you, because like you give me the opportunity to show up for you. And that's one thing that I've I feel like the question was, what'd you learn about the other person? But Matt's taught me so many things.
Oh no, it could be about you as well. I mean, that was going to be the next question.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think these kind of things go hand in hand, right? It's, in order to learn something about someone else, you've probably learned something about yourself in the process
100%.
of it.
Yeah. I always thought I was like a very good communicator, and I feel like I was, but like you've just allowed me to grow so much. And that is like, because when you're in business with somebody, when you're creating something with somebody, you have to have brutally honest, open conversation while still remaining like a level head. But also like people say don't mix business and pleasure. But I think the fact that like we are friends and we were able to kind of like put business aside or friendship aside to handle those situations and be so fluent and diverse in those moments and give space to the area that needed space. Like to me, that's a skill that I feel like will pay off so many times throughout life, is like those conversations where we're like, friendship aside, how are we handling this? Or business aside, are you okay? Mm-hmm. Like that's, to me, everything's always been very black and white. I'm like, when it comes to business, this is how we're doing it. That's it. No wiggle room. Or like friendship, you're my friend. We're here right now. Screw the business part. But the fact that we've learned how to like dance and combine the two so beautifully. And that's all because you are such a good communicator too. And like open and honest, and like you allow the space. I think that's been, I don't know, something I've learned, something about you that I love, something about our relationship I love.
Yeah.
That's been something so beautiful. Like I'll never forget getting off the phone with you after having like rough conversations. And I'm like, oh, that was actually nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think being able to, again, that's as much down to the other person as well, right? That makes you feel that you are safe enough to be honest and to have those sorts of conversations, right? And which again is something which is a quality that is paramount to the success of hosting a podcast. Mm-hmm. You have to make whoever it is on the other side feel comfortable enough to be able to speak their mind.
Yeah.
So that's great.
Yeah.
Okay. Coming on to the guest. So how many episodes did you do this year?
Matt would know that.
So weirdly enough, Buzzsprout stopped counting for us.
Did it really?
It did. So I think if I'm correct, we should be at 30.
Oh, wow. Okay.
See,
32.
That's what I thought too. But yes, like last time I was in the studio, for some reason, Joseph, our engineer, said it was like 50.
No.
Is that right?
No, we've done 30. We've done 32 episodes.
32?
Yeah.
Okay, 32 episodes.
No,
I think poor Joseph thinks it's 50 because
like
of the amount of time
feels like 50.
He's like, God.
It's like it feels like 500. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. We love it. But yeah, I mean, it's been consistently like we've been trying to do one episode per week, release consistently, stay devoted to that. But I mean, some weeks it was 2 a week. Sometimes we just took a week off, but 32 sounds about right.
Yeah.
Right?
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So 32 episodes over a year, variety of different guests. You mentioned the one lady from Alaska that was creating a product, right?
Yes. Rhodiola.
Yep. Okay. Apart from her, or you can include her, who has been, I don't want to say like who's your one favorite guest.
Yeah.
Because I was a guest and clearly there's only one right answer. So what I'll say is instead is that couple of guests that perhaps surprised you.
Yeah.
And certain things that you might have learned from certain guests that really stood out.
For sure.
Obviously, you're the favorite.
Okay,
so
I know this sounds like super cliche, but genuinely, you were hands down one of my favorite guests. You're definitely in the top 3 for sure. And I'll tell you why. We're so extremely grateful that you were actually one of our first guests on the show because you gave us a platform.
No, that's really
like genuinely. And that was really big. And still to this day, like a lot of our viewership, funny enough, is from both India and in the UK as well. And it's amazing. Like that's like a huge, huge thing. And so like, it's really awesome to see that people genuinely, because you gave us that platform, we have people now internationally And that's been amazing to see.
No, and
so we're very grateful for that.
I appreciate you saying that, but as much as I want to take all that credit, I can't really do it because, and I've said this because I've done a lot of these over the years, podcast interviews, everything. The guest is only as good as the people asking the questions. So that's, if it was a good episode, it's because you guys made it good. And it was just easy for me to respond, right? I mean, I have done interviews in the past that have been painful because they've arrived at it with no information or incorrect information. But you guys, you had it together. You had a very clear plan of what you wanted to ask, what you wanted to get out of it. So it was very simple. So that's testament to like what you both did.
Yeah. Thank you.
So you're saying this episode then is going to be gold because you were asking the questions,
that
right?
Is exactly what I'm saying.
That's the point that we're making
exactly
here.
That to button this all together, it's all about me. No.
I'm kidding. No, I have to, you guys, I love Sid so much. He's one of my dearest friends and I have to always give you a hard time. I have to. And genuinely though, your episode was one of my favorites because one thing that I do appreciate about you and what the world needs a little bit more of is genuine people who aren't scared to be themselves and be brutally honest with their feelings and emotions. Because thankfully too, I feel like a lot of our guests were open and honest and willing to kind of like answer uncomfortable questions for the good of the listeners. And you hands down though were able to really like open yourself up and share your not so like ideal behaviors, I guess, that people might be like, oh, that's a stigma or this and that. Like you were just honest and I really appreciate that. Yeah. And you have such an interesting story, but besides just hyping you up right now, because I love you. Yes. I'm trying to think, all of our guests were absolutely amazing. To me, there's two that really are near and dear to my heart. Just one being also Gianni. Mm-hmm. Shout out Gianni. He's my breathwork instructor. And once again, he came on and was like, so brutally honest and open about everything in his life. Here we have a breathwork instructor who helps other people. And he's like, they're super humbled on the couch. Like we said something and he's like, I really even needed to hear that. Like, I'm still trying to figure this out. He's over here helping people and he's like, I need help too.
But that's really interesting that you said that because, and again, this is, I think, something good for all your listeners to keep in mind is that we tend to forget about the ones who are usually doing the helping. Mm-hmm. We can sometimes end up taking them for granted because we assume, well, if they're in a position to be helping us, they must have their shit together.
Yeah.
And that's not the case. Like these people are also human beings. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a reminder, like what you just said, that even the ones who perhaps are the ones that we look up to for guidance, once in a while, maybe just asking them, how are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
That goes a long way.
Yeah. I mean, this is something I've even asked my own personal therapist. I'm like, when is it over? When am I going to be this ideal human who knows everything? And she's like, sweetheart, it's never over. Yeah. You just get better at handling it. But like, there's always going to be something new that throws you for a whirlwind and hopefully gives you a space to show up and grow even more. Yep. So I loved Gianni. And then also, I love all of our guests so much, to be honest with you.
I know I talked about you, so that's one of them. No. And then I would, if I had to like pick another or even two, Kenzie McMahon.
Yeah, I love. Oh, so sweet.
Her conversation was crazy.
Do you want to just very quickly for those that might have missed that episode, just say who that is?
So Kenzie was tested. It was a positive for a drug substance that she didn't take.
Oh,
she was an Olympic candidate.
And she was an Olympic candidate for swimming. And
so she failed the drugs test.
And she failed the drug test, but she doesn't know how that's even possible because it was for a drug that's not even legal in the US. And it's actually something that, and it's a kidney dialysis drug. So and
she's a healthy, like 20-something-year-old amazing female. Like she's an athlete.
And so there's definitely, the possibility that, her drink was spiked, while she was training in another country and someone, had set her up, and so like, there's the possibility of that happening. And so there was just some insane conversations we had about that and just sort of her personality and how she dealt with literally her entire career being over in a phone call, in a 30-second phone call, 15 years in a career, and it's gone in 30 seconds. And so that was, I mean, her story was just incredible, and how she handles it now.
So well.
And so she's definitely someone, we talked about doing this where we're kind of going to do 1 year marks with guests.
Nice.
And so
That's cool.
we're bringing her back on in the fall.
Yeah.
She's going to fly out here again and do it. And so we're really excited about that, and kind of doing a 1 year follow-up with her about where her life is now.
See, even talking about our guests, that's why I'm like, in my head, I'm like, oh, but this one person said this.
know.
Everybody has been so amazing. And I'm so grateful for everybody who has been on this podcast, because we've met so many great people just from doing this that I never would have expected us to have amazing relationships with or connections. And I don't know, it really shows that even if we're different, or even if we all have different stories and come from different backgrounds, that like we can all connect and enjoy each other's company. And the power of conversation is incredible.
Yep.
So besides that, like I could go on and name everybody by name and everything they've talked about, and something that I appreciate in every single one of our guests. And I just want to say thank you right now to, if you're listening, like I love you and I appreciate you guys so much.
Another guest that totally like knocked my socks off in a way was, now I'm going to start just babbling.
I don't wear socks, but I guarantee you. But
Greta was incredible.
Such an amazing human.
And Greta, actually, so you got the book as our holiday.
Oh,
as our holiday gift. Yeah.
Yes, the journal.
Yeah.
And so we gave each of our guests that came on through December as like a thank you gift. They all got this journal, and it's actually from her. It's a 30, 60, 90 day guide to just success. And it's the most amazing thing ever. And so because of that, I've actually now I've the incredible opportunity. I'm working with her on a book for kids to help manage grief.
Oh, beautiful.
And it's incredible. And so being able to just do this process with her, and because of just having her on the show, we've been able to open up so many incredible opportunities that go just past this podcast, but it all started here.
Yeah.
So that the butterfly effect of that has been insane. That's been beautiful to witness.
I think that's always the most beautiful thing, right? Is that when, and this comes kind of down to what my initial question was at the beginning, is that flexibility of you have an idea of what something's going to be. And then if you're open enough, it can change into something that you never thought was a possibility.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it's not just a lesson for podcasting, it's kind of a lesson for life, right? Is that for letting things unfold in the way that they should, and they may take you somewhere completely different, but it could yield something beautiful, like with Greta. I'm assuming at the time it was like, okay, this is, we know what she does, but she's just going to be a guest.
Yeah.
You probably didn't think that it was going to spiral into something much bigger.
Nothing. Yeah, no, and I knew that she had a journal, and I had read through it, and I'd done some of it myself, and I was like, wow, this is just, wow, this is it. This is incredible. But then it was interesting. I was sitting actually packing the journals, and then I called her up. I was like, what if we made a journal that's your journal? Because this journal is incredible. What if we made something like this for kids who are dealing with grief? And funny enough, here we are 6 months later, and the book is complete.
Wow. Amazing.
And it's amazing to see. And so it's just small stuff like that that's been just really, really fun to just be a part of and witness.
Yeah. We landed up collaborating with Al Venice, an amazing gut health company. That's what I mean. Like Brian Dubois that we had on a few weeks ago, he's getting into public speaking. He's like, let's start doing events together. Like everyone's just been so sweet, and none of that would be possible without this, or even just it really got us to open up our shells and out of our comfort zone, even to if we were at events or talking to people and we're like, you have such an interesting story, let's connect. Where before it's so easy for a lot of us to just go hear an interesting story, say, oh, nice meeting you, and walk away. I love how it got us to actually form deeper connections with people and form new relationships.
Yeah.
For sure.
That was kind of a tangent, but
and it's great. I think that the again, testament to you guys and what you've created is that whatever sort of interactions you've had with your guests, for a lot of them, it didn't just start and end with the podcast, right? You were able to continue something with them and you're able to see where that goes. And I think that's great. So,
yeah.
I feel like that's something that like everybody can kind of learn and use in their own life though, is once again, I feel like we're very, correct me if I'm wrong, but did you guys hear that like a new epidemic that's been going on is loneliness? So many people feel disconnected and feel like they don't have somebody in their corner, or that they don't have a community. And it's like, we just decided to build one day.
Yeah.
And we never knew it was going to turn into that or what would come from it. But just being open and honest and like vulnerable with people can go so far.
For sure. Yeah. I did see that about loneliness.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that's obviously because of the way that we're going with the world. Everyone, I mean, we kind of, everything is on the phone and everything like this.
We're trained to isolate in a way,
exactly.
Because we get our dopamine fix and our connection through that, but it's not true connection.
No, well, I was with a friend about a month ago. And we were somewhere sitting at a bar and this guy came and sat next to us. He was from Milwaukee or something, and we were watching sports, and he started talking, and, you know, you just start a conversation. We were just chatting to him, and then he was like, okay, I got a question for you guys. If there was one skill that you think the younger generation should know, only one, what is it? And both of us in unison were like, communication. Yep. And that's it. Learn how to communicate, because that is the cornerstone of, I'd say, civilization, of society, right? Learn how to communicate, and communication automatically sort of fosters community. But I think because the lack of communication that the younger generation experience automatically means that there is no community.
Yeah, I agree. And like you even saying that though, communication is so valuable, where it's like, once again, I'll kind of go back to what I said in the beginning, is learning to ask for help. And it's like, you can build something great. Yeah. And I know a lot of people, especially young individuals out there, have like hopes and dreams about becoming this big person or creating this amazing product or business. And it's like, it's so easy to think that you can do things on your own, or it's so easy to think that like, I can just learn how to do everything on YouTube, right? Or like Google it and figure it out. But the great things are built with other people. That's the one thing that I've learned from this also, is that like you do need a community to build something great and beautiful. And it's honestly just made it so much more richer and enjoyable doing it with other people.
For sure.
Yeah.
And asking for help isn't weakness either. It's not sort of like, it's even, doesn't even have to be like, I think sometimes we can go too like, oh, well, it's an act of surrender and surrender is important. No, I mean, it's nothing. It's literally just asking for help. It's that simple.
Some people, it's so scary though.
So it is very scary for a lot of people to do. But I always subscribe to, I think, Warren Buffett's approach. I think it was his approach. But I'm like, listen, if I'm not the best at doing something, I'm going to get the person who is the best to do it for me. Like, it's that simple. Like, and I don't think there's any shame in that.
No, not at all.
Absolutely.
Obviously, I've been the one asking all the questions. Yeah. Anything you want to ask each other?
Yeah. What was your favorite individual episode that we did?
See, there have been so many great ones and so many memorable moments. Right now, I'm just going off of like my gut with everything. Like the most random things are popping up throughout this interview that I'm like, I didn't even know that was so relevant or something that I loved. But can I say the sour grape?
The sour grape.
I don't know why, because we've had so many great topics about so many more in-depth things, but we spoke about a children's book. It's called The Sour Grape. And it just had a message in there, what was the exact message? Do you remember?
I mean, it's just
don't be sour.
Yeah, it comes from a lot of like, the reality of it. It's like the perception that you perceive on yourself is not the perception that other people view on you. Vice versa. It's also the perception that the world sees is very different. And so people become very bitter on the inside over things that actually never needed to be bitter to begin with. And so it's a look on this, little grape, this person's life, this little, and why he is such a sour human. It's literally because of a single moment in time that actually
let dictate his life.
He let dictate his life that wasn't even accurate. and to live your entire life like that. That was the conversation. So giving yourself grace and allowing yourself those, those moments when things do get heavy, that you don't hold those in. So that was really cool. I love that conversation.
Yeah. What about yours?
I feel like, I don't know.
Which one just pops up in your brain? First thing, it doesn't have to be your favorite, but a memory.
Our community episode was really cool. We did
that right after the fires too.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That was really, really cool. I really liked doing that one just because honestly, the research done for that episode was something that I actually kind of did a deep dive into. And also just talking about sort of community as a whole and what we can do after, very traumatic events, both individually and as a community, was a lot of fun as a therapist to really discuss. So I really just appreciated that conversation a lot. And a lot of people too, listening to that episode, that's where a lot of it comes from. It's like people came to me after that episode aired and were like, yo, I love this. Like, I feel like this is not something that my therapist and I even talked about, or like my family and I even talk about. And this was really helpful for us figuring out ways that we can help the community. And that was really neat. So just being able to have that open conversation was really cool.
Yeah. Just like that time also of the fires and seeing such a big community come together. I think the message was great, as well as I think like the emotional depth behind it when it came to both of us. Cause we were both like, thankfully we didn't lose our homes, but we were definitely impacted by it.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like the fact that it had a really strong message and it was actually close to home for us, really, that was a beautiful episode.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I think my question for you then would be, what are you most proud of in your own growth in this podcast? We've talked about each other, but like, what's one thing that you noticed about you evolving?
Man, I would say the biggest thing is just not being shy to hold a platform.
Right.
Now.
Yeah.
My whole life, I've been told to kind of just be the person in the background, and this is, for the first time ever, I'm in the forefront. Mm-hmm. And that has actually been a lot of fun, because now I'm able to have an opportunity to, give people a platform to be able to share their experiences and do all these things and be able to say, yeah, please come on our podcast. Please come do this. And then vice versa. I would love to collaborate with you on this future endeavors and future projects and everything, and have validity with it, which was really cool to see. So I've been loving that process in a way. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's the biggest thing.
I agree with you too, watching you kind of, for lack of a better term, glow up in this a little bit, watching you become more comfortable. Because Matt watches the episodes, I watch them more in depth, and just seeing how much more articulate you are and how open you are and how engaging you've become versus like our first episode was so cringe, you guys. So cringe.
Yep. I found it on an old hard drive.
Oh my gosh. I don't even want to. It's so bad. Like, not bad, because it's an opportunity to show up.
Of course. Yeah.
But I was like, oof. So I agree with that. And it's been a lovely ride to watch you flourish in that area. And I can't wait to see over the next however long we still do this, how it evolves also.
Thank you.
I think mine would be, and this is, I feel like not as deep as yours, but screw it, we don't always have to be deep, right? Yeah. Is the one thing that I love now is not that I don't care, is not focusing so much on like what I wear to the podcast, honestly. Mm-hmm. I remember when we first started, I'm like, I need to look good on camera. I need my makeup perfect. I need to pick out an outfit. Now I'm like, I will show up with no makeup and sweatpants and have the best time, just learning to relax and have fun with it versus, yes, take it seriously, but don't put so much pressure on it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that's been the one thing that I love the most about learning from this podcast is like, I've always been myself, but allowing yourself to just relax and be yourself has been the best thing
for sure
possible.
Our favorite episodes were when we were both in hoodies and we brought blankets one day.
Oh, I love bringing blankets.
I remember we did blanket just wrapped.
I walk in, everyone's like, are you going to take a nap? Yes, I might.
Yeah.
You might.
Yeah. Yep. So
no, but that's actually, I know that you said that this shouldn't be deep, but that actually is very deep, because I think that, there's a lot of people that can listen to this that in their own way will be able to relate to what you just said, because I mean, there is an expectation of how we should show up and how we should look and all of that. Mm-hmm. a lot of that expectation is actually something we put on ourselves.
Yeah. Completely.
Because we think we have this idea of what something should be and how we should fit into it. And then we realize that actually this was something that we totally constructed in our head.
Oh, all the time.
All the time. And then you realize that actually maybe the things that I thought did matter really don't.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I do think that I don't necessarily see that as a negative, because I think you have to go through the process of thinking something should be one way in order to learn from it. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I completely agree. And part of me, I think in the beginning was just like, this is proving that I care. Right. But it's like, you can care deeply about things while still being uniquely yourself. And it's funny because the one thing over the past few years I've learned is authenticity. You can't fake. Authenticity is one of the most powerful things in this world. And when you just show up relaxed, calm, who you are, and let that shine through, like that's what people resonate with the most. And it sounds better. Like I said, the episodes when we were so guarded, so scared to say everything perfect, we just sounded kind of dull. And the second we both kind of just said, fuck it. Yep. Like, let's say what's on our mind all the time and just be comfortable. That's when it's flowed so much easier.
It was funny watching like our viewership grow from the moments we like didn't care, like videos and like clips and things that I'm like, why would we post this? Isn't like whatever. Like it wasn't like
this is not
anything mental health related or any, but as soon as like, I remember, I think it was one of my last ones that I had posted. It was just like, I was like, what's your like, what did I ask? So something about on the lines of like, what's your favorite form of anxiety?
Oh my gosh.
And whatever.
What did you say? And I'm like, that's your heart palpitations.
Heart palpitations. That's my favorite. I don't know. I'm like, this is it. Cause you know, it's like when you're about to like have a heart attack anyways, but that's just.
Yeah. Like, he's just like, let me go. Just let me go. I'm like, okay, Matt, are you okay?
Yeah. No. But it was just
so
really
real though.
I'm like,
so okay.
It was really funny, but that had like, we ended up getting like, God, 10
you were funny on that episode.
Views on something so silly. But then the moment I talk about something so serious about like mental health and its relation to, you know, the person and intrinsic motivation and all that, it got like 300 views. Like but I think it's funny.
I think that I think that's what people appreciate as well, is that I think that you can take a very serious topic and present it in a light way. And that's what people connect to.
Yeah, for sure.
Completely. I love that too. Cause it's like things are heavy, but they don't always have to be that heavy. You decide honestly the weight of a lot of things.
And I think, listen, that doesn't mean that we're, you know, discounting the severity of it.
For sure.
But I think that there's a way to appreciate something for what it is in a way that is lighthearted and can be relatable to people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I laugh at a lot of things too. Sometimes I feel so bad sometimes because it's a serious conversation or like it's so deep. And I'm like, just the things life can put you through are so funny sometimes. And you know you're going to make it out. So let's just tackle it the best we can and try to have a good time, even though it might not seem like it.
Yeah.
But definitely. I just want to first off, thank you, Sid, so much for taking the lead on this one.
No, of course. It was very fun. Thank you for giving me the chance to do it.
Yeah, it's been so fun. And once again, I appreciate you so, so much. But to flip it around too, because I just have to, this is who I am. I have to give you a little taste. Tell me then, you've had an exciting year this year. You have a lot of change as well.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, because we always do final notes. I'm still going to have you do the final note. What is the one most important thing you've probably learned this year?
Oh, wow. I mean, I think the biggest thing is, so I got married this year.
Yes.
Was I married when we did the last one? I think I might have been. It was after the wedding.
Was it? It was right after the wedding. It was like 2 weeks. Yeah.
But I think what I've learned is, you know, I'd done a lot of self-work over the years and mental health work, written books on it, all this sort of stuff. So I felt like I'd got myself to a pretty good place. And then I got married. I realized I know nothing.
Yeah.
Right. And because, you know, it's one thing when you're on your own and you're single and everything. You only have to deal with yourself. The minute someone else is in the equation, automatically you're forced to look at other parts of yourself.
Yeah.
That perhaps, first of all, you didn't have to when you're on your own. And secondly, you perhaps didn't even know were there. And I think that's been my big learning this year is that we are constantly growing and constantly changing, and kind of like what your therapist said to you, like there is no end point. Mm-hmm. Different situations in life are going to bring out different parts of you that require work. Yep. So it is an ongoing process. And I'm sure one day, if we have kids, that's going to bring out a part of me that I don't even know is in me right now. And then something else is going to happen. And then something else is going to happen. And we're constantly forced to look at parts of ourselves. And I think it's making peace with that and being okay with it. Mm-hmm. Instead of that, like bashing your head against the wall, being like, I've done all these years of mental health work. Why do I still feel this way? Well, that's just how life goes. And we constantly have opportunities to grow and to evolve because it's going to happen.
Yep.
So that's kind of like my big learning this year.
Oh, I love that so much.
You'd make such a good dad. Genuinely. Just throwing it out there.
So would you, Matt, but I mean, we're over here.
Yeah. Well, hopefully,
no,
maybe
I'm just letting you know, like, if that ends up happening, you would make a good dad. You would, yeah.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. No, thank you so much for that gem. And then once again, thank you so much for closing our season with us.
Of course.
Genuinely, it does mean the world to me so much, as well as Matt, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's full circle. You opened our show. Literally.
I did, right?
Actually,
you opened our show
did.
and now you're closing it. That's a beautiful full circle moment.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to have been a little part of your journey and to see how it's evolved.
No, thank you.
Yeah. And until next fall, you guys, I'm looking forward to it, but have a nice break. Thank you for listening, and I love you.
Thank you so much, and keep shining your light.